Good afternoon, Tan Ajahn.
Good afternoon, everybody.
Good afternoon, everyone. Let's pay respect to Tan Ajahn by bowing 3 times. First bow. Second bow. Third bow. We'll begin with the chanting. May we invite Tan Ajahn to lead us in the chanting, please.
Okay, so we always start with the Buddha verse on loving kindness. Now let us chant the Buddha verse on loving kindness. Karaniyamatha kusalena yantang santang patang apisamecha Sako uchu cha suhuchu cha Suwacho cha samutu anatimani Santu sako cha suparo cha Appakitto cha sallahukavutti Santintriyo cha nipako cha Appakappo kulesu ananukhito Na cha kuttang sama cha re kinchiyena vinyu pare upavathayum Sukhino va khemino hontu sapphe satta bhavantu sukhitatta Ye ke cipana puta thita sawa thawara va anavase sachi khawa ye mahanta va machima rasaka anukathura Thittha va ye cha athittha ye cha thure va santi avithure Bhutava samphavesi va sapphe satta bhavantu sukhitatta Naparo parang nikupphe thananti manye thakatta jinang kinti phayaro sanapatika sanya Nanyamanya sathukamichaya mata yathaniya Puttang ayusa eka puttamanurakhe evam pisappa pute sumana sampavaye Aparimanang metan ca sappa lokasming mana sampavaye Aparimanang Uttang atho ca tiriyan ca asampatham averang asapattam Titthang jarang nisinno va sayano va yavatassa vikatamitho Etang sating atithaya brahma metang viharang Ittama hutithin ca anupakamma sila vathassanena sampanno Kame suvinaya ketang nahi chatu khappasaya punareti te Now let us chant the Buddha's word on loving kindness. This is what should be done by one who is skilled in goodness and who knows the path of peace. Let them be able and upright, straightforward and gentle in speech, humble and not conceited, contented and easily satisfied, unburdened with duties, and frugal in their ways, peaceful and calm and wise and skillful, not proud and demanding in nature. Let them not do the slightest thing, that the wise would later reprove, wishing in gladness and in safety. May all beings be at ease, whatever living beings there may be, whether they are weak or strong, omitting none, the great or the mighty, medium, short or small, the seen and the unseen, those living near and far away, those born and to be born. May all beings be at ease. Let none deceive another or despise any being in any state. Let none through anger or ill will wish harms upon another, even as a mother protects with her life her child, her only child. So with a boundless heart, choose one cherish all living beings, radiating kindness over the entire world, spreading upwards to the skies and downwards to the depths, outwards and unbounded, free from hatred and ill will, whether standing or walking, seated or lying down, free from drowsiness. One should sustain this recollection. This is said to be the sublime abiding, by not holding to fixed views, the pure-hearted one, having clarity of vision, being free from all sense desires, is not born again into this world. อันธรรมยังอุทิศนาทิธานาคาทายโยพนามาเสอิมินาปุญญกรรมเมนะอุปัชฌายาคุณุตตราอาจาริโอปการาจามาตาปิตาจยาตกาสุริโยจันทิมาราชาคุณวันตานราปิจาพระมมาราจาอินทาจาโลกปาลาจาเทวตายโมมิตามนุสาจะมัชฌตาเวริกาปิจาสัพเพสัตตาสุขีโหนตุปุญญานิปปตานิเมสุขันจติวิทังเทนตุขิปปังปาเปทโวมะตังอิมินาปุญญกรรมเมนะอิมินาอุทิเสนาจาขิปปาหังสุรเพเจวตันหุปาทานาเชทนังเยสันตาเนหินาธัมมายาวะนิพพานโตมะมังนาสันตุสัพพทาเยวะยัตถาชาโตภเวภเวปุชุจิตตังสติปัญญาสันเลโควิริยัมหินามาราลพันตุโนกาสังกาตุนจาวิริเยสุเมพุทธาทิปะวโรนาโทธัมโมนาโทวรุตตโมนาโทปัจเจกพุทโธจะสังโฆนาโทตโรมะมังเตโสตมานุภาเวนะมาโรกาสังลพันตุมา Now let us chant the verses of sharing and aspirations. Through the goodness that arises from my practice, may my spiritual teachers and guides of great virtue, my mother, my father, and my relatives, the sun and the moon, and all virtuous leaders of the world, may the highest thoughts and evil forces, celestial being, guardian spirit of the earth, and the Lord of days, may those who are friendly, indifferent, or hostile, may all beings receive the blessings of my life. May they soon attain the threefold bliss and realize the deathless. Through the goodness that arises from my practice, and through these acts of sharing, may all desires and attachments quickly cease, and all harmful sets of mine, until I realize Nibbana in every kind of birth. May I have an upright mind, with mindfulness and wisdom, austerity and vigor. May the forces of delusion not take hold, nor weaken my resolves. The Buddha is my excellent refuge. Unsurpassed is the protections of the Dhamma. The solitary Buddha is my noble guide. The Sangha is my supreme support. Through the supreme power of all this, may darkness and delusion be dispelled. หันธรรมยังเมตตาภรนังกโรมาเสอาหังสุขิโตโหมินิทุกโขโหมิอเวโรโหมิอัพพยาปัชโชโหมิอานิโคโหมิสุขีอัตตานังปริหารามิสัพเพสัตตาสุขิตาโหนตุสัพเพสัตตาอเวราโหนตุสัพเพสัตตาอัพพยาปัชชาโหนตุสัพเพสัตตาอานิคาโหนตุสัพเพสัตตาสุขีอัตตานังปริหารันตุสัพเพสัตตาสัพพทุกขาปมุญจันตุสัพเพสัตตาลัทธสัมปติโตมาวิคัจฉันตุ Sapphe satta kamma saka kamma thaya tha kamma yoni kamma pantu kamma pati sarana yang kammang karisanti kalayanang va papakang va tasathaya tha bhavisanti. Now let us chant the reflections on universal well-being. May I abide in well-being, in freedom from affliction, in freedom from hostility, in freedom from ill will, in freedom from anxiety, and may I maintain well-being in myself. May everyone abide in well-being, in freedom from hostility, in freedom from ill will, in freedom from anxiety, and may they maintain well-being in themselves. May all beings be released from all suffering, and may they not be parted from the good fortune they have attained when they act upon intention. All beings are the owners of their actions and inherit its results. Their future is born from such actions, companion to such actions, and its results will be their home. All actions with intentions, be they skillful or harmful, of such acts, they will be the heirs. Okay, now we do the chanting contemplation on death. Okay, so first we do the Pali first, then the translation. Pavatati patulayaya sayu santitiyakayam parupamaya sampasang pavaye maranasating maha sampatti sampatta yatha satta mata itha tatha ahang marissami maranang mahesati uppattiya sahevetang maranang akhatang sata maranathaya okasang wattako viya esati isakang aniwattang tang sattatang kamanussukang chivitang uttaya attang suhriyo viyathawati vichu puppula ussawa chara rashi parikkayang khatako wa riputasa sappathapi awariyo suya sattama punniti putti vutti chinatvayang khatesi maranang kippang Katumati sake katha Paccayyanang ca vekalaya Pahirachattu pattava Maramonang nime sapi Marahmano anukhananti. Meditations on death. Like a flame blown out by the wind, these life continuums go to destructions. Recognizing one's similarities to others, one should develop mindfulness of death. Just as people who have achieved great success in the world have died, so too I must certainly die. Death is harassing me. Death always comes along, together with birth, searching for an opportunity like a murderer out to kill, not the least bit stoppable. Always going forward, life rushes towards its end, like the rising sun to its setting, like lightning, a bubble, dewdrops, or a line drawn in the water. Life cannot last. Death is like a murderer after his fall, completely unrestrainable. Death slays those great in glory, in strength, merit, powers, and wisdom, and even the two kinds of conquerors. No need to speak about one like me. Due to a lack of the necessities of life, to some inner or outer misfortune, I, who am dying moment after moment, can die in the blink of an eye. Animitang mananyatang maccanang ittashivitang kasiranca paritanca tanca tukkena sangyutang nahiso upakamo atti yena chatana miyare charang pipattawa marahnang ewang thamma hipanino palanang iwa pakanang pato papatana payang ewang chatana maccenang niccang maranato payang yathapi kumpakarasa katamattika bhashana sapphe pethana pariyanta ewang maccana shivitang taharaja mahanta ja ye phala ye ja pantita sapphe majju vasangyanti sapphe majju parayana anicca sankhara upatha vaya dhammino upaccittawa nirucchanti te sang bupassamo sukho. The lives of mortals is sightless. Its length cannot be known in advance. It is difficult and limited and tied up with sufferings. There is no possibility that mortals shall not die. Having reached old age, they die. Such is the nature of living beings. As fruit, when ripe, has to fall, so all beings live constantly in the fear that they will die. As a potter earthen jars eventually must all break up, so too does the life of mortals eventually come to an end. The young and the old, the foolish and the wise, all move in the grips of death, all finally end in death. Impermanence are all conditioned things, affected by rising and falling away. Having arisings, they then must cease. Blissful is it when they subside. Ajirang vatayang kayo pattaving atisesati Chuttho apeta vinyano nirathang wakaring karang anapito tato akha nanunyato ito kato yatha kato tatha kato tathata paritewana yatha pisera vipula napang ahacca pappata samanta anupariyayung Nippo tenta jatuttisa ewang chara jamajjuja ativattanti panino khatiye brahmane vese sutte jantara pukkuse nakinci parivaccheti sappang ewa pimattati natatha hattinang bhumi narathanang napattiya Najapi manta yuttena sakka shetung thanena va tasma hipantito poso sampassang attamattano putte dhamme ja sankhe ja chiro sattang nivesaye yo dhamma jari kayena vajaya uttacetasa Itewanang pasang santi peja sakhe pamotati. Before long, this body will lie, cast away upon the ground, bereft of all consciousness, like a useless block of wood. Uninvited, he came here. Without leave, he departed. He went just as he came, so why lament? Like gigantic boulders, mountains reaching to the sky, moving in from all sides, crushing all in the four directions. So aging and death comes, roaring over living beings. Noble warriors, priests, merchants, workers, outcasts, and scavengers. They spare nothing, they crush everything. Here, elephants can hold no ground, nor can chariots or infantry. One cannot defeat them by a battle of spells or buy them off by means of wealth. So a wise person, seeing his own good, secures firm convictions in the Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha. He who practices the Dhamma in thought, word, and deed receives praise here on earth, and after death rejoice in heaven. Okay, so we do the next one, Ratthapala Katha. This is the poem given by the Ratthapala. He's one of the monks who renounced the world when he was quite young. And this is the answer to he gave to the king who come and asked why he renounced the world. What good is the Dhamma? What did he see in the Buddha teaching? So this is the answer he gave to him. Passami loke sathane manuse lathana vitang nathatanti moha luttha thanang sannijayang karonti pinyo vakame apipathayanti racha pasaiha pathawing vishittava sasakharantang mahing avasanto Orang samuthassa atita rupo parang samuthassa pipattayetha racha cha anye cha paho manussa avita tanha maranang upenti punava huttawana cha hanti tehang kame hilokam hinahatti tittiกันทันตินังยาติปกิริยเกเสอโหวัตโนอมราติจาโหวัตเทนะนังปารุตังมิหริตวาจิตังสมาทายตโตทหันติโสไทหติสุเลหิตุชมาโนเอเกนะวัตเทนะปหายโภเคนะมิยมานัสสภวันติตานายะนาติธามิตะอัตถวาสหายาทายาทกาทัสสหนังหารันติสัตโตปนะคัจฉติเยนะกัมมังนามิยมานังทนังอันเวติกินจิปุตตาจทาราจทนันจรัตถังนาทีขังอายุงลัพพเตทะเนนะนาจาปิวิตเตนะชรังวิหันติอัปปันหิทังชีวิตมาหุธีราอาสัสสตังวิปริณามธัมมัง Okay, so the translations are Ratthapala verses. I see men wealthy in the world, who yet from ignorance give not their gather wealth. Greedily they hoard away their riches, longing still for further sensual pleasures. A king who has conquered the earth by force and rules over the land, the ocean's bounds, is yet unsated with the seas near shore, and hunger for its further shore as well. Most other people too, not just a king, encounter death with craving unabated. With plans still incomplete, they leave the corpse. Desires remain unsated in the world. His relatives lament and lend their hair, crying, "Ah me, our love is dead." They bear away the body wrapped in shroud to place it on a pile and burn it there. Clad in the shroud, he leaves his wealth behind. Prodded with stakes, he burns upon the pile. And as he dies, no relatives or friends can offer him shelter and refuge here. While Sid Era takes over his wealth, these beings must pass on according to his actions. And as he dies, nothing can follow him, not child, nor wife, nor wealth, nor loyal estate. Longevity is not acquired with wealth, nor can prosperity banish old age. Short is this life, as all sages say, eternity is no not only change. อัตถาธริทธาจะพุสันติภาสังภาโรจะทีโรจะตเทวพุทโธภาโรหิภาลยาวัติโตวเสติทีโรจะนาเวทติภัสสพุทโธตัสมาหิปัญญาวัฒเนนะเสยโยยายะโวสานังอิทธติคัจฉติอัพโยสิตัตตาหิภาวาสภเวสุปาปานิกัมมานิกโรนติโมหะอุเปติขับพันจะปรัญจะโลกังสังสารังอาปัจจปรัมปรายาตัสสัพปปัญโยอภิสัทธหันโตอุเปติขับพันจะปรังจะโลกังโจโรยธาสันทิมุเคขหิโตสกัมมนาหัญญติปาปธัมโมเอวังปชาเปจปรัมหิโลเกสกัมมนาหัญญติปาปธัมโมกามาหิจิตรามัทุรามโนรามาวิโรปโรเปนะมะเทนติจิตตังอาทีนาวังกามกุเนสุทิสวาตัสมาอะหังปัปปชิโตมหิราชาทุมัพพรานิวปตันติมานาวาทหราจวุธาจสรีระเพธาเอวัมปิทิสวาปัปปชิโตมหิราชาอปันนกังสามัญญังเอวะเสยโยติ The rich and poor alike shall feel death touch. The fool and sage as well shall feel it too. But while the fool lies stricken by his folly, no sage will ever tremble at the touch. Better is wisdom here than any wealth, since by wisdom one gains the final goal. For people, through ignorance, do evil deeds, while failing to reach the goal from life to life. As one goes through the wombs and the next world, renewing the successive round of birth, another of little wisdom, trusting him, goes also to the wombs and the next world. Just as a robber caught in beggary is made to suffer for his evil deed, so people after death in the next world are made to suffer for their evil deeds. Sensual pleasures, very sweet, delightful, in many different ways, disturb the mind. Seeing the danger in these sensual ties, I chose to lead the homeless life, O kings. As fruit fall from the tree, so people too, both young and old, fall when this body breaks. Seeing these two, O king, I have gone forth. Better is the recluse life assures. Okay, and there's a little bit more. This is the explanation. We can go over it. Great kings, these are 4 summaries of the Dhamma that have been taught by the Blessed One, who knows and has accomplished and fully enlightened, knowing and seeing and hearing them. I went forth from the home life into homelessness. What are the 4? Life in any world is unstable. It is swept away. This is the first summary of the Dhamma taught by the Blessed One, who knows and sees, accomplished, and enlightened. Knowing and seeing and hearing this, I went forth from the home life into homelessness. Life in any world has no shelter and no protector. This is the second summary of the Dhamma taught by the Blessed One, who knows and sees. Life in any world has nothing of its own. One has to leave all and pass on. This is the third summary of the Dhamma taught by the Blessed One, who knows and sees. Life in any world is incomplete, insatiated, and slave of craving. This is the 4th summary of the Dhamma taught by the Blessed One, who knows and sees. Great kings, these are the 4 summaries of the Dhamma that have been taught by the Blessed One, who knows and sees, accomplished and fully enlightened. Knowing and seeing and hearing them, I went forth from the home life into homelessness.
Brothers and sisters, we will now request for the three refuge, 5 and 8 precepts together. We'll begin by bowing 3 times. First bow. Second bow. Third bow. Mayang bante thi saranena saha atta pancha silani yachama dutiyampi mayang bante thi saranena saha atta pancha silani yachama tatiyampi mayang bante thi saranena saha atta pancha silani yachama
นะโมตัสสะภะคะวะโตอะระหะโตสัมมาสัมพุทธัสสะนะโมตัสสะภะคะวะโตอะระหะโตสัมมาสัมพุทธัสสะนะโมตัสสะภะคะวะโตอะระหะโตสัมมาสัมพุทธัสสะ
นะโมทัสสะภะคะวะโตอะระหะโตสัมมาสัมพุทธัสสะนะโมทัสสะภะคะวะโตอะระหะโตสัมมาสัมพุทธัสสะนะโมทัสสะภะคะวะโตอะระหะโตสัมมาสัมพุทธัสสะ
พุทธังสรณังคัจฉามิ
บุตตังสารนังกัจฉามิ
ธัมมังสรณังคัจฉามิ
ธัมมังสารนังกัจฉามิ
สังฆังสรณังคัจฉามิ
สังฆังสารนังกัจฉามิ
ทุติยัมปิพุทธังสรณังคัจฉามิ
ดุติยัมปิพุทธังสารนังกัจฉามิ
ติยัมปิธัมมังสรณังคัจฉามิ
ดุติยัมปิธัมมังสารนังกัจฉามิ
ติยัมปิสังฆังสรณังคัจฉามิ
ดุติยัมปิสังฆังสารนังกัจฉามิ
ตติยัมปิพุทธังสรณังคัจฉามิ
ตติยัมปิพุทธังสารนังกัจฉามิ
ตติยัมปิธัมมังสรณังคัจฉามิ
ตติยัมปิธัมมังสารนังกัจฉามิ
ตติยัมปิสังฆังสรณังคัจฉามิ
ตติยัมปิสังฆังสารนังกัจฉามิ
ติสรณคัมมนังนิทิตัง
อามาบันเต
ปานาติปาตาเวรมณีสิกขาปดังสมาธิยามิ
ภานาทิปาทาเวรมณีสิกขาปดังสมาธิยามิ
อทินนาทานาเวรมณีสิกขาปดังสมาธิยามิ
อดินนาดานาเวรมณีสิกขาปดังสมาธิยามิ
กาเมสุมิชฌาจาราเวรมณีสิกขาปดังสมาธิยามิ
กาเมสุมิจฉาจาราเวรมณีสิกขาปดังสมาธิยามิ
มุสาวาทาเวรมณีสิกขาปดังสมาธิยามิ
มุสาวาทาเวรมณีสิกขาปดังสมาธิยามิ
สุราเมรยมัชฌปมาทัฏฐานาเวรมณีสิกขาปดังสมาธิยามิ
สุราเรรยามัจจปมาทัฏฐานาเวรมณีสิกขาปดังสมาธิยามิ
Now for the 8th preceptor อพรหมจริยาเวรมณีสิกขาปดังสมาธิยามิ
อพรหมจริยาเวรมณีสิกขาปดังสมาธิยามิ
วิการโภชนาเวรมณีสิกขาปดังสมาธิยามิ
วิกาลโภชนาเวรมณีสิกขาปดังสมาธิยามิ
ตัจจคีตวาทิตวิสุปทัสสนามาลาคันทะวิเลปนะดารณะมันดนะวิภูสนาทานาเวรมณีสิกขาปดังสมาธิยามิ
นาจากิตาวาริตาวิสุขาดัสนา Malaganda vilepana dharana mandana vibhusanatana Veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami
Uchasayana mahasayana Veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami
Uchasayana mahasayana Veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami
Imani panca attha sikkhapadhani samadhiyami
Imani atta sikkhapadani samadhiyami Imani atta sikkhapadani samadhiyami Imani atta sikkhapadani samadhiyami
Silena sukating yanti Silena poka sampatha Silena niputing yanti tasama silang visotha ye
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Let us bow 3 times. Let's bow. Second bow. Third bow. We'll now formally request for the Dhamma talk.
Brahma Jaloka Hik Bhakti Sahang Bhakti Các Ban Jali An Thik Wak Rang Ayajak Tha Santi Thak Sakta Pak Rak Ja Khak Jak Tika Ê Se Pu Thang Mang Anu Kaang Tik Mang Pak Chiang
Na mô tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Na mô tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Na mô tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Buddhang dhammang sanghang namasami. Okay, so we meet again. Last week, I think most of you are having a retreat, 3-day retreat with Ajahn Tan. So I hope that you have a good time and learning from our teacher Ajahn Tan and have a good meditation experience. So back to our regular Friday one pra. So as usual, we start with the chanting the Buddha verse on loving kindness. Actually, that is a very good way of start the day. I recommend that if you're not chant anything, at least chant this in the beginning of the day. That will having the direction of your day. Basically, this is the metta or the loving kindness in the word of the Buddha, which is the one that normally we hear a lot, like ahang sukito homi. This is actually the later on that we summary the teaching of the Buddha in this word. But the real word of the Buddha about the metta is exactly the whole sutta that you can learn. And actually, interestingly, it's not only metta. I mean, metta is part of it, but you can see that it's a many thing to do preparation before you actually have that ability of metta to send around. You need the preparation, like all those steps like in the chanting that we do. So it's a very rich in meaning, especially in Pali. When you translate in another language, it lost some of those rich meaning. But anyhow, it's very, very deep in each one. So if you have a chance to flip over and just looking at each quality one by one and see whether you have that or not, it's kind of what we call the contemplation of the Dhamma, which is the nice way of starting with that word, of very powerful word, and set your direction of in this direction. all those things that we want to do, and actually to have the genuine, the true metta is a work, because we don't have metta yet until we practice this. It's summary into the we call the education system, we call Sikha. We start with all those quality, the straightforward, and all those things, all these things that you need to have that ability first, and then
Brothers and sisters, I think we might have lost the connection with Tan Ajahn. Please give us some time to rectify this.
all right, sorry, the electricity just went off like that. We are at the end of the line, so the electricity is like that. Sometimes it just don't, and when it doesn't come, the internet is cut off, so we have to restart everything again. So I think probably we need what we call the UPS, the battery, the thing to reserve the power. Usually for a few seconds, that because the electricity is not so stable, so it's come, and then all of a sudden the internet is kind of gone, and then all those computers is gone for a few seconds. So that usually happen. And I mean, last week I also giving a talk on the Mother Day, and in the middle of my talk it just out for about 20 minutes. So that happened when you live in the forest. So sorry about that. So nothing that much I can do. Okay, so getting back to the sutta, we basically start with the Buddha words on loving kindness, and setting the directions of the day, and follow all this. It's almost like a checklist. Okay, we do this and that, and okay, now we are ready to be friendly with other people, and because we are basically the friend in old age, sickness, and death, and basically each of us try to avoid pain, seeking for pleasure, but because we don't know what is a real pleasure is, we seek it in the wrong place. That's why we trapped in this samsara and keeping the cycle of rebirth. So when we generate that energy, then we look at each other like we are in here together, with these things. And then the second sutta that we chant is actually not the sutta, but is giving the merit to the people who pass away. This is another important thing, because many people doesn't have a chance to do what we do. They pass away to the next life. So, and some of them stuck in the realms where they need the merit, like the hungry ghost, for example. So when we generate any merit, today we dedicate that merit to departed one. Some of them will be our relatives, our friends who in need of that. So we basically spread our merit to them, and then we do the metta, the ahang sukhito homi, that when we spread the real metta to the living beings. The first, the merit is for the dead, and the metta is for the living. You can't spread the metta to the dead one, so they have to be alive. So we have the proper relationship to the one who passed away and the one who's still living. The passed away one, we do the merit and dedicate to them. The one who's still alive, we spreading the metta for them. So actually, we hope that they also able to be happy and practice Dhamma, so they can be benefit from that. So that is basically the first three things that we do even before we do the real sutta. And then, usually my style is to take some sutta and then to chant it, to just, because there's so many good teaching that we can learn from the sutta. So we take turns, like today we contemplate on death. We just pick the wording of the Buddha about death, and then put it together, both Pali and English, and then at the same time you can learn Pali and then you can learn the translation. It's quite inspiring to learn the word from directly from the Buddha. And yes, contemplation on death is one of the things that we should do every day. It's arouse the sense of urgency, sense of that we are not here forever. We have a specific amount of time, so we should spend our time well, and at least we are lucky enough to have the teaching of the Buddha, so we should put that to practice at our best ability. So that is the whole meaning of death contemplation. So, and then we chant the Ratthapala Sutta, which is a very nice word of the Arahant who he's I really like his story a lot. He was the one of the son of the very great what we can call the politicians of those days. His family come from the very renowned politicians or the ministries, and he just was able to unite the kingdom together. So he has a very promising future ahead of him. If he stay on, he probably become the president now, but I don't know, in the old day probably become the chief minister of the country. But he come and then listen to the Dhamma talk, and then he decided to ordain, even though he's young, and he's very determined to be a monk, even though his parents initially doesn't give him the permission. So he fasting, and he said, I rather die than not, if you not give me a permission to ordain, then I will die here. So his friend come along and then try to convince him of, okay, come on, ordain is difficult, you have to bear many things. But Ratthapala is very firm. Actually, he was chosen by the Buddha to be the foremost in the faith. He ordained with a very strong determination. He rather die than not able to ordain. So eventually, the parents have to give in and allow him to ordain, thinking that after a few months, maybe because he's been raised as a very rich family, maybe he's not able to stand the monk's life, and he will return to lay life. But he practiced very diligently, and actually he go far away from his hometown and put all the effort into practice, and he achieved the Arahant. And then want to see his family, so he returned to his hometown, and the servant, the maid, the maiden remember him. So she tell his mother and father that Ratthapala has returned. So they are very happy. So they invite him to have a meal in his house, and his parents bring all those treasure in the middle of the house and say, okay, this is the money, the gold, the silver, all these things belong to you. It's become both families quite rich. So please disrobe and then enjoy this sensual pleasure that coming from this money. But the Ratthapala doesn't. He's Arahant. He got a lot better than that. So he said, no, I have attained the highest, the thing that human beings are capable of to realize the nibbana. So for him, the treasure doesn't mean anything. And so they try to bring his wife, previous wife, come and try to seduce him, but it doesn't work. And in the end, the parents try to say that it's a lot of burden for them to take care of the treasure. So they want him to disrobe to take care, to manage this wealth. And Ratthapala said, if it's too much burden for you, why don't you get all this and throw it in the river? So so that's it. Now the parents basically lost all the hope. And finally they bring the food and feed him, and he after giving a short teaching to the family, he go to the nearby forest to meditate. And then the king Gorapaya, which is used to be his friends of the family, heard the news that Ratthapala has returned. So he want to see Ratthapala and ask a question. So this is the stanza that we chant is coming from the answer that Ratthapala give to the king. So basically the king asks questions like, okay, normally people ordain when they lost 4 things. Either they lost their youth, and they become old and they can't do anything else, so they have to ordain, or they lost their wealth, they become poor, maybe they're bankrupt in their business or whatever, so they try to ordain as the way of living, or they got some illness, maybe they go sick, or maybe cancer or terminal illness, so they want to seek something kind of spiritual way, maybe the way they can cure the illness or whatever, or maybe they can live longer. Or they lost relatives, their beloved one passed away, and they feel a lot of sad and remorse and whatever, and they ordain. So this is the 4 things that most people ordain because of these reasons. Either they lost youth, they lost wealth, they lost relatives, or they lost they got ill. So but Ratthapala seemed to be exception. He in the peak of his youth, and he doesn't have any illness. He very capable of doing many things. He doesn't lose any wealth. He got more than anybody else, and he also have a lot of leadership. He doesn't miss anything. He seems to be perfect. But why did you ordain? So the answer to that question is in the last page that we just chant. So we call it's a 4 thing that I think is very good to memorize it. It's something that it will come back again and again. What is the reason for renunciate? What is a good reason to do that? So you can maybe study one of those and maybe read it many times. And actually in the sutta they also have the explanation of each one also, because when Ratthapala give this answer to the king, then he basically asks what is the meaning of that. So maybe we can go over that for the times being. Okay, the first one is that life in any world is unstable. It is swept away. So basically, this is a very important things like OS, sickness and death is all around us. We probably know people who pass away, our relatives and things, and then ourselves also we also getting old every day. We're not getting younger, we're getting old. And Ratthapala asked the king of remember when you were young? The king said, yes, I'm the king now. He's like about 70 or 80 years old, so he's very old now. So he said, okay, yes, when I was young, I have a lot of power. I can lift up the things, and I can fight. I can basically shoot the arrows and all those things. But now I'm 70s, 80s. Even my leg doesn't follow my command. So when I want to step on this, my legs step on that, and sometimes I trip over. So that's what happened when you get old. So basically, this is what happened when you are getting old. It doesn't matter you are rich or poor. You just basically not listen to your command anymore. You go their own way. Your hair turn gray, your teeth coming out. Everything is just not the way it used to be. And then the second one, life in any world has no shelter and no protector. This is also very important because nobody can, when you face old age, sickness and death, nobody can do it for you. You are basically, it's very personal. It's only one who can have it. Say if you have a daughter or son, when they get sick, you can't, let me sick for you, and let me go old for you. It doesn't work. So, and nobody can protect you. There's no protection. It's just like it can come any time. It's no protector. And then the third one is life in any world has nothing of its own. One has to live all and pass on. So whatever you think is mine, in the end you have to leave it behind, and you just move to the next life. Only thing that you can carry with you is your karma. The rest is to belong to whatever who inherit your treasures. So in the end, it's nothing belongs to us, only karma that we can take with us. And then the last one, life in any world is incomplete, insatiated, and slave of craving. So Ratthapala give the example of, for example, suppose that there's a news from the West that there's the country there who's the leader is really weak. They have the internal conflicts. So you can conflict very, very quickly. Would you do it? And the king said, yeah, of course, I will send the troop and then take over that country. And then suppose it from the north, from the south, from the east. And then say, yeah, I will take the troop and then occupy all those territories. And Ratthapala said, yes, this is why, because you are never enough. You're always searching for the next one. So this is the nature of the craving. You're chasing after this sensual pressure, and it's no end to it. So this is basically the summary of the sutta that we just chant. And so it's good to have that kind of sought out, and maybe you can go back and then read the sutta again, and then you can check which one is belong to which number. It's one of your homework. So it's good to read and think about that. So this is the summary of the whole sutta, but the whole thing is just to make this point. So it's good to chant and then to think about the meaning of it one by one. And it's very very deep, and it's very sincere. It's coming from his own heart that this is the reason why he, even at his young age, he leave everything behind and then go for the highest Dhamma. So this is one of the sutta that is very meaningful, and especially at the time of the rain retreat, then we can inspire many people to practice and put all you have into your practice, and never be careless about anything. It can happen. The OA sickness is all around us. We might be the next victim to COVID or whatever illness or thing that is been around. So this is the sutta that is just one of the example. Is so many sutta there that in fact is inspiring, and you can use at starting the meditation. If you have a time, you can read some of the sutta like that for 15 minutes or 20 minutes, and then you can think about the meaning of that, and then you can sit meditate, so that will be kind of the way we educate ourselves. We kind of submerge ourselves in the saying of the Arahant. Hopefully that we can absorb that, and when we say that, we mean what we say. But in the beginning, it's just saying the word, but more and more that become more meaningful when you have maybe more experience, and then that word is very, very deep meaning. So this is one of the way that we as the monks, we in the Buddha time anyway, they learn this sutta by heart, and then they go in the forest, and then maybe initially they only memorize it. They may not be really know the meaning of it, but when you practice, and the meaning get more deeper and deeper, and then you realize the Dhamma. You become you mean what you say. In the beginning it's just memorization, but when you say it again and again, you just start to feel the word, and actually you think like that, and you become, oh, that is, I think exactly the same as Ratthapala, and it's go very deep. So that is one way. I think it's just the way the Dhamma is cleansing us from the false idea, the way, because if we associate with a lot of wrong teaching, we tend to think in the same way. These days, a lot of media, social media is a lot of things that is not really in line with the right view. Even some of them are outright fake news. So have to be careful about taking those in, and if we spend so much time with those, we might think the same way that they do. So putting aside some time of the day that we can basically look into the word of the Buddha and try to straight our purpose, our direction. This is what I really want to do. I want to study and to get deeper into the teaching of the Buddha by study all the sutta and then meditate. That will make it go deeper. If you not meditate, it just either in your mouth or in your head. It doesn't go into your heart. But when you meditate, these things are going together in here. Yeah, that is what it means. So that is the power of the Dhamma. That's what we call the Dhammanusati, the contemplation on the word of the Buddha. So that is one way of practice, and it's just the word that's full of meaning that you can contemplate, especially when we use the 7 factor of enlightenment. The 7 factor of enlightenment. It starts with mindfulness. Mindfulness is the beginning, and then the second one is called the Dhamma Vicaya, investigate into Dhamma. So this is the wisdom. So the example is we have a good sutta, and we actually, the sati mean to memorize it. Sati in the old meaning is just mean memorize. It doesn't mean attention, or this is the later meaning. But the sati, the old meaning of it is mean recollection, remember. So when you have sati, mean that you memorize the sutta, and then you investigate. You use the power of wisdom to basically understand what the real meaning of that. And if you understand it correctly, then the effort come. So we want to practice. And then with the effort, then joy, rapture. When rapture comes, the sense of tranquility, passaddhi, and then the sense of samadhi, concentration, one-pointedness, and then upekkha, equanimity, balance. So this is what we call the practice with the wisdom is leading. With the wisdom, the peacefulness or the samatha is follow. You can call it vipassana first and samatha follow. It's the pochong is like that. The 7 factor of enlightenment. So you start with contemplation, memorize first, and then reflect on what you memorize, and then get the deeper meaning, and then practice according to what you know, and then joy, rapture, and basically tranquility, one-pointedness, and then equanimity follow. So this is what we call we can call the vipassana yanic. You use the wisdom as the front head and to investigate. But when the Buddha talk about like the 5 powers, 5 insights, that is the samatha first, samatha yanic, because it start with faith, and then you have a effort, and then mindfulness, and then concentration, and then wisdom. You see, the wisdom is at the end. So it depends on which one that you like. So if you are the samatha type, then you need a lot of faith, a lot of saddha, and you delve into that. Maybe taking one object of meditation, breathing or whatever, kasina, and then just focus on that one object again and again. So you need a lot of devotion and love toward that object of meditation, able to do that. But if you say like my type, a lot of thinking with the education that we have, so you need something to think about. It's very difficult for me to just focus with one thing. So I have to use the wisdom to penetrate, as in the beginning, contemplate on the Dhamma, and look at it and investigate in all those corner, and then have a delight in the Dhamma that is well spoken by the Buddha. It's nothing lacking, it's nothing in excess, it's just perfect. And then with that, a lot of faith come after investigation. So this is it's called the Dhammanusari. We use the Dhamma as a leading, versus the Satthanusari. They use the faith as their main practice. So whatever way that you are prefer, then it's good to reflect upon our past once in a while, and you can try those out. This thing, the Dhamma, it needs a little bit of learning. So you need to get into some sutta to contemplate on the meaning of the word a little bit. But if you got the right direction, then it's also one of the meditation object as well. When you contemplate on the meaning of the Dhamma, you can be very peaceful, and after a while, then you can let go of that. In the beginning, you use the Dhamma as almost like a stepping stone. When your mind is focused and clear and be mindful, then you can drop those kind of thinking, and you can just focus on more refined. You can go into more subtle kind of object of meditation. So this is just the thing that you can try out, whether it's work for you or not. Because sometimes when I try samatha, I tend to be getting like stuck somewhere, and it doesn't go further. It just basically not moving forward. It just stays somewhere in there, and then come out, and it's not really clear, for me at least. So I have to use another method, try to work with our mind. So that's one way you can try now, whether that's work for you, the contemplation of the Dhamma, or the meaning of it. And then when you contemplate on the Dhamma, if your life is in line with the Dhamma, it's bring a lot of joy in that. And say you can contemplate on your own sila, say if you have 5 precepts or 8 precepts, you can go one by one and look at, okay, let's say for example, number 1 is like basically I'm not have any intention to harm any beings, not in the least doing that. I always have the loving kindness and toward all living beings, and you can go with that, maybe in specific event in your day, and the day where you're able to refrain yourself from maybe that occasion where the mosquito land on me and I want to hit it, but I'm recall I'm taking the precept and then not able to withdraw myself from killing it. So that is kusala. So you can use that, as the day go by, each one by one, and look at the day. Okay, during this day, what the thing that is in line with my precept. So the number 1 is basically is the not killing is basically to do with the body. Number 2, not taking what is given is something to do with the feeling, because you have to know your feelings. And then the third one, the sexual misconduct is something to do with the mind, because the sensual pressure is very disturbing the mind. So, and then the fourth one, the telling lie, deception is something to do with Dhamma. So you can see that the precept is actually all the corner or the side of the mindfulness, the body, feelings, mind, and Dhamma. It just incorporate in that precept. And of course, the drink alcohol and intoxication is when you down the mindfulness altogether. So that's the thing that you can contemplate on the meaning of your precept. If you take the 8 precept, then you have an extra. Okay, I'm renounce. It's called renunciate precept. So you're not involved in any sensual, any sexual activity, and you refrain from any adornment, beautification, entertainment, singing, dancing, and all those things. Just make a mind a lot more simple and able to simplify your mind. And then the last one is not spend time sleeping, not find joy in sleep, in dream, and all those things. We want to wake up, we want to follow the Buddha, to be awake, alert, and to be wakefulness and be mindful. So that is another way of looking at your own precept, your relationship with the people around you. And then when you're able to keep this precept pure, then it's a lot of joy in that. If you're not, then at least you can, okay, I will, this is my mistake, I will confess. It's good to maybe find the friend who also keep the precept, and then you can confess to that person who's helping, because then next time you feel ashamed to do that again and again. So it's incentive for you not to break that precept again. So that is the way to contemplate that. And if you pure in each of these training rules, then you can feel rejoice in the ability for you to I'm doing better now. In the old day, I would probably break the precept with this stimulation, but now I'm can able to avoid that. I have more skill. I learn not to break this precept in such and such way, and you take a joy in that. So this is the way of moving forward. Like it's sometimes it's not so obvious, but I think we should encourage ourselves. If we can coach ourselves. I'm doing a good job. It's not that easy. I mean, out of all the people in the world, how many people take even 5 precepts? So it's also the big step as well. We offer the gift to the world. We call apaya, the gift of not harming living being. And so that's something that we can rejoice and be glad about our life. So with that, it can take us to the state of deep meditation when we lack the sense of remorse. Most people have some kind of guilt in many ways. They do things that they're not supposed to do, or they don't do things that they're supposed to do. So that kind of the remorse always there. But when we take the precept, then we get rid of those remorse, and then we can reflect upon that. It's very, very helpful in our spiritual practice. So that is it's a way of bringing the Dhamma and bringing the Sila, bringing the Dhamma Vinaya that Buddha teach, and then internalize it into our body, speech, and mind. The way our thinking, we thinking like when we saying, we have to think in that way. And when we speak, when we act, it's not out of any intention to harm. We want everybody to be happy, and we can then that only way. Then when our metta is a pure metta, because we start with not harming other beings, and then the power of metta or loving kindness will be the true power, and the sense of one pointedness, and that will be more powerful to spread to all living beings. So we start with the Buddha words on loving kindness, but we not stop with that. That is the beginning. It's just the basic ground for our sense of belonging, our sense of connected to the all living being. We not feel estranged to the thing, but because we part of that. And then with that strong foundation, we can contemplate on the noble, the Four Noble Truths, which is the higher kind of form. So anytime that our mind calms and pure and equanimity, then we look at it in the terms of the noble Four Noble Truths, looking in terms of this is the suffering, what is the suffering we see is causing, arising and passing away, and what is the sweetness of it, and what is the drawback of it, and how can we be free from that. So each one we can say, okay, this is maybe this sound or this sight is arising and passing away. What is the sweetness of this? What is the drawback of this? But how can I can be free from that? So this is look at it in terms of the Four Noble Truths, arising and passing away. And if it's suffering, then we have to realize it. We have to contemplate it, acknowledge it. And if it's the cause of suffering, which is tanha, the craving, then you can see the connection, because we craving what is suffering. So when we see that it's suffering, then the craving will drop away, letting go of this craving, and then you realize at least the minor, the small amount of relief from able to letting go of the craving. And the Noble Eightfold Path have to be there. All those steps is coming together. In the beginning, it's not coming together; it's just here and there. But in the last moment, it will come together, and there's a power to penetrate to that. So use the metta as the foundation. So Actually, the metta is just the beginning, the whole Brahma Vihara, the metta, karuna, mudita, upekha. These 4 as a foundation. And then when the mind is ready with a strong foundation, you can use the 4 noble truths as penetration. So you need a good foundation to penetrate, to do the work. So when you have a good standing ground, then with the sword of wisdom, then you can cut through all this illusion and then get into the beyond, the nibbana, the deathless, the free from suffering. So this is the goal of our practice. So that you this is basically the outline of what we try to do every day. Then start from the early when we wake up until we go to sleep at night. Try to maintain the mind in the wholesome state as much as possible. And so whatever mean, by contemplating on the sila, by studying the sutta, or in the lay people, you can the act of generosity, giving away, sharing, all those things that is keep it wholesome, and then that will have a power of itself. When you have it's like a flow of wholesome state of mind, and it's will able to basically get rid of the unwholesome by develop the habit, good habit, and then you can detect the unwholesome thing easily when it comes, and then okay, this is the thing that I'm not supposed to do, and then slowly, a little bit by bit, you can let go of that. If you make a mistake, then make a note not to do it again in the future. So that's how we purify ourselves. So we purify our speech, our action, and then we purify our mind. And lastly, we purify our view, which is the most difficult thing, very sticky, the view. So slowly, bit by bit, we cleansing and cleaning, and then when it comes to the power of all together, then that will the moment where we can looking for the beyond the nibbana, the end of all suffering. So it's all laid out by the Buddha, all this map, and we just have to put it into practice. So I hope that you find the chanting and the taking the precept and all those things meaningful, and incorporate that into your practice, and able to progress in this spiritual life for all of you. Okay, so I wish you well and stay safe until next week that we meet together.
Handamayang Dhamma Kataya Sadhu Karang Dadamase.
Sadhu, 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 anumodami. Thank you, Ajahn, for the teaching, the advice, and the reminder. Let us pay respect to Ajahn by bowing 3 times. First bow. Second bow. Third bow. May we invite Ajahn to lead us in the closing homage, please.
Arahang Samma Sambuddho Bhagava Buddhang Bhagavantang Abhivatemi Sawakhato Bhagavata Dhammo Dhammang Namasami Supatipanno Bhagavato Sāvaka Saṅkho Saṅghang Namami.
Once again, thank you, Ajahn. We'll see Ajahn next Friday, same time.
See you next week.